Hey guys, Nish Quick here. So recently I beat God of War Ragnarok. This game is a fantastic sequel and follow-up to God of War 2018. The whole idea is that it doesn't deviate from what worked, but also enhances the experience in a very awesome way, and not just when it comes to the story. And just like how God of War 2018 reinvented the God of War franchise, a year earlier, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild reinvented the Legend of Zelda franchise and introduced it to a whole new audience. Its sequel, Tears of the Kingdom, is set to release next May 2023, and I feel there's a thing or two Tears of the Kingdom can kind of learn from God of War Ragnarok. Not like anything will really change upon Ragnarok's release and success, since I bet Tears of the Kingdom is already done and being polished, but this is more like what I hope to see in Tears of the Kingdom after having beaten God of War Ragnarok. But before we get started, I just want to say, my name is Nish Quick, and if you enjoy and love video game analysis, reviews, and casual discussions, be sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to never miss an upload and stay up to date on all my latest content. And give this video a like if you enjoy it, it really helps out the channel. Also, sound off in the comments below, what do you think Tears of the Kingdom can learn from God of War Ragnarok? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments, so let's chat about it. And without further ado, let's see what Tears of the Kingdom could learn from God of War Ragnarok. So, the premise of Tears of the Kingdom and Ragnarok both being direct sequels to their predecessors brings in the question: how would the developers utilize the environments and worlds from the past games? So having played Ragnarok for about 20 to 30 hours, I can easily say that the game not only enhances already existing areas from 2018, but also adds new regions and areas to explore. In God of War 2018, you visit 6 of the 9 realms in the Norse world: Midgard, Alfheim, Helheim, Muspelheim, Niflheim, and shortly Jotunheim. And I think Muspelheim and Niflheim were only dedicated to side quests and side content. But in God of War Ragnarok, you can, for the most part, freely explore all 6 of these locations with new areas within them to explore, receive, and complete quests. And additionally, since the game takes place 3 years later, during the time of Fimbulwinter, many locations are not exactly how they were in the original game. Most notably Midgard, which is completely frozen over. The Lake of Nine is like a sheet of ice. And also Alfheim, where there's some minor changes to the locations you once visited. Not only this, but along with these 6 realms, you can now finally also explore the 3 realms you were not able to explore before: Asgard, Svartalfheim, and Vanaheim, allowing you to explore all 9 realms in God of War Ragnarok. And on top of that, Muspelheim and Niflheim are also integrated and important to the story as well. Asgard, Svartalfheim, and Vanaheim are entirely new areas with new things to do, new enemies to fight, and new stories to discover. From what I've seen in its brief 3 trailers, Tears of the Kingdom seems to be doing something similar. As Eiji Aonuma himself stated during the 2021 E3 Nintendo Direct, the setting of the game has been expanded to include the skies above Hyrule. But Aonuma also confirmed in earlier interviews when the game was revealed in 2019 that they felt that the team was not really done with working with and playing around with the Hyrule they had developed and created in Breath of the Wild, and wanted to expand on that world. With this knowledge, and from what we've seen, we can conclude that the land portions of Hyrule will stay the same. This, to me, sounds somewhat concerning. The only significant change to the sequel would include the islands in the sky? What I personally hope for this, similarly to how Fimbulwinter affected Midgard and Alfheim and God of War Ragnarok, I'm hoping the cataclysmic events of Ganondorf's awakening and the rise of Hyrule Castle with malice erupting from underground really creates some significant tectonic and topographical changes to the overworld. We might see craters open up that reveal new, never-before explorable dungeons, oceans might dry up, revealing new places to explore, and hopefully we might even be able to swim this time and dive underwater and even explore underground beneath the surface of Hyrule to see this once familiar land in a new and different way. Like how God of War Ragnarok added Asgard, Vanaheim, and Svartalfheim to its sequel, the Sky Islands would act as locations unavailable in the 2017 Breath of the Wild and that are new to us, but in an entirely different realm and plane. While changes to already existing areas and the exploration of the underwater and underground regions of Hyrule can make Tears of the Kingdom feel like a more fresh and unique take on Breath of the Wild's already existing world of Hyrule. Another thing I realized is how God of War Ragnarok adds new gameplay scenarios, mechanics, and puzzles to what was already done within the worlds of God of War 2018. Similarly, Tears of the Kingdom really should add traditional Zelda dungeons back into the mix to not only bring the series back to its traditional roots, but also separate it from the Breath of the Wild flaw of similar and bland divine beasts and shrines. Now that TOTK is absent from the world, I would enjoy having a different kind of bite-sized dungeon format like the shrines, but with a different take on puzzle solving. Maybe this time it's focused on the Zonai, and it's focused on the mysterious arm mechanic instead of the Sheikah Slate. So God of War Ragnarok spiced up the combat by not only polished what already worked, but by also adding new moves in the skill set. Having the Blades of Chaos accessible from the start of the game, expanding the functions of Kratos' shield to prioritize parrying and defensive blocking, and some other things too. But before we move forward, I want to issue a big spoiler warning for God of War Ragnarok. If you haven't played the game, skip to this timestamp right here, and honestly, go play the game. So, in God of War Ragnarok, you not only play as Kratos, but you play as his son Atreus too. Atreus has grown up and matured quite a bit since the events of the first game, so he can definitely hold his own in combat. He plays similarly to his dad, in the sense that he has light and heavy attacks with R1 and R2 respectively, but he also has his own skills that he can unlock with his experience points. He also has his own ranged attacks with his bow, but not only that, Atreus also even has his own rage mode. Instead of raging out like his dad doing the Spartan rage thing, Atreus turns into a wolf and mauls and gnaws at his enemies. In my past experiences, as well as with others, I've seen a lot of first-party PlayStation games you're forced to play as a supporting character during moments of pause when the protagonist is off doing something else. Marvel's Spider-Man did this by making you play as Mary Jane in some chapters, which brought the game to a screeching halt to me, in my opinion. I wanted to just stick to web-slinging and punching as Spidey, not investigative stealthing as the reporter Mary Jane. The Last of Us Part 2 did this as well, with having you play as the game's antagonist, Abby, in an effort to make you sympathize with her. I didn't play the game, but from what I heard, it didn't really do that good of a job with that, I think. And even Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart allows you to play as Rivet, and though that was really cool, I felt Rivet was very similar to Ratchet and it didn't add too much variety to the experience. I think God of War Ragnarok does it the best, where it has you play as someone else other than the protagonist, but you're not necessarily nerfed. Atreus holds his own, and his combat and gameplay is genuinely fun to play. Also, for me, personally, I preferred to play as Atreus sometimes, because his playstyle is more nimble, fast, and agile compared to his father Kratos. So how can Tears of the Kingdom learn from this? First of all, keep what already worked. Keep the amazing physics intact, all the badass combat things you can do in Breath of the Wild, just keep it in Tears of the Kingdom, as well as the core of the combat. Maybe add new weapon types to go along with swords, spears, and two-handed weapons from Breath of the Wild. We also see enhancements to the shields, but not really like how God of War Ragnarok does it. In this clip, we can see Link using something akin to a flamethrower on his shield, but is it an entire shield, or is it just an add-on or an upgrade to augment the already existing shield? These augments could honestly add a lot of variety to Link's customization and combat styles. But here's the kicker. What could really throw the game for a loop and be sort of the Atreus situation in this game could be the inclusion of Princess Zelda herself being playable. This is still a prediction, and honestly, I don't think it will happen, but even though it may not happen, I really hope it does. We've played as Link for hundreds and hundreds of hours in Breath of the Wild, so why not spice it up by adding Zelda as a playable character in the sequel? I could see her being locked to the underground sections of Hyrule, while using the Sheikah Slate in new and unique ways, while Link uses his new arm ability in the lands and the sky. Just a prediction, but if this is done, it would really separate Tears of the Kingdom from the established conventions of Breath of the Wild. And if Zelda is playable in Tears of the Kingdom, it would be the first time she's actually playable in a Zelda game since Spirit Tracks. It's been a while. I can't say too much here, but I do have to say that God of War Ragnarok expanded on story beats from the first game, and on top of that provides a truly impactful and moving narrative. That's something Breath of the Wild lacked. Since the story took place basically 100 years prior, the narrative is something you kind of sew together yourself. I really hope Tears of the Kingdom has a more engaging and involved story like God of War Ragnarok, while also referencing events of the first game. And because I'm a huge Legend of Zelda fan myself, I'm hoping this narrative has some really deep lore connections to the past games, so that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom's placements in the Legend of Zelda mythos can be firmly solidified in the eyes of us die-hard Zelda fans. Minor spoiler warning for God of War Ragnarok, but Ragnarok does loosely reference some events of the first 3 God of War games, which took place in the Greek pantheon. So I'm hoping Tears of the Kingdom does the same and has some cool references to some prior iconic Zelda entries. God of War Ragnarok has been an absolute treat for me this year. I did not expect this game to be such a major step up from the original God of War 2018, and I'm very happy with the changes, additions, and enhancements Sony Santa Monica has incorporated into this game. Likewise, Tears of the Kingdom has been my most anticipated game for the past 3 years since it was announced in 2019. This game has been in development for more than 5 years now, and will release more than 6 years after its predecessor Breath of the Wild, making it the longest gap between mainline Zelda games in the series' 36-year-long history. I can only imagine the new and exciting additions, enhancements, and changes the Zelda team will add to make this experience one to remember. I think there's a lot Tears of the Kingdom can learn from other sequels in the past and present, like God of War Ragnarok, but I also firmly believe that the Zelda team will introduce some innovative and groundbreaking gameplay mechanics and ways to play that will truly surprise all of us Zelda and action-adventure fans. We'll just have to wait and see come May 2023. So what do you guys think? What do you think Tears of the Kingdom could include that will separate it from Breath of the Wild, and what can it learn from other sequels like God of War Ragnarok? Sound off in the comments below. And remember, if you enjoyed this video, to give it a like and subscribe to the channel Nishquick Pops for more content like this. This is Nishquick signing off. Have a great day.